We're so excited for you to be joining us today, and it's another beautiful, lovely Tuesday. And today's guest is someone I'm so very, very proud and pleased to be having on the show, because mindset and mental health is something that is so important to everybody nowadays. And today's guest, Adam Axford, is a wordsmith, a magician, and an all-around nice guy. He has an interesting background, coming from the streets of London, literally as a street trader, all the way through to the work that he does now with global and large organisations around transformation and the magic of transformation. I'm so pleased to have him on my guest today, and welcome, Adam. Tell everybody a little bit more about yourself.
Thanks for having me on board, Michelle. Lovely introduction. Guess I got a lot to live up to right now. No, thank you for having me. Adam Axford, that's me. That's the name I came out into the world with, and I've carried it proudly since. And I guess humble beginnings. We had enough growing up, and I guess growing up, I kind of received these little gifts from parents on occasion that always linked into not just magic, but I think perception on a whole. I remember getting a little optical illusion book. I can still picture it. It's back home in England somewhere. I remember being fascinated by that, the duality, like the two ways of viewing something. And then I obviously got a few magic kits growing up. But I wasn't that kid who was like all enthralled into the magic. I had a few fits and bounds of it, but what I've always been fascinated with is the other way of doing stuff. And I think the real formative part of this, it came together when my dad, who was as East London as they come, he grew up in Canning Town, East London, and he grew up to be a fireman, his dream job, and eventually retired from that. And when I was in my 10, 12, early teens, kind of finding a place to wheel and deal, we ended up selling pirated PlayStation 1 games to give some scope at markets, right? And I would bring these into school and sell them in school and all sorts. And eventually that evolved into many different things that were kind of on the cusp of illegality. And I didn't know any better. And I was my dad's young apprentice, and I learned how to do things in a slightly different way, often breaking the rules to make stuff happen, right? So I realized I could have followed the same path he did. Eventually, when I was 20, he was put away for the biggest DVD production scandal in the UK history at the time. So I stopped counting money and started counting blessings. And I thought, how can I transform the skills I've learned, lying, cheating, stealing, deceiving, and put them into the world in a good way? And
you weren't tempted to go into politics then? Because that sounds like the...
You've got me. I know you stole my punchline, Michelle. No, for sure. That's it. That's literally the other option. So I could be like, what am I going to be? I could be a magician and trick people. They do say that magician is like the only honest profession, because we promise to deceive and then we do. Whereas the politicians, quite the other way, but obviously the same skill set. I'm really happy that I focused on that. And for a little while, dabbled in the language a big way in my early 20s. I'm 35 now. Still feel like a kid. And I did an NLP course with Richard Bandler, who's like the founder of NLP. So I did this 7-day course with him and self-educated, didn't go to university. I kind of left school with a set of D's, which never mattered, because I've literally never been employed by anyone in a formal capacity. Super cool about that. And then the language thing, and then the transformation of others, transformation of self, of course. I started doing hypnotherapy and helping people, coaching. I was so young. I remember I had this one client who came to me, and I was just like 23 at the time. I was lying about my age to feel like I had more validation to help these people. And this guy comes to me and he was like, all right, I've got like a gambling addiction. I've just been divorced and like an alcoholic and da-da-da-da-da. And I was just like, I'm so out of my depth. I'd help people with smoking, with some weight management, some motivation. And I was like, I think I need to live life a little bit more before I can help people out, in this way. And switched into the performance of stuff. So a little bit of hypno for performance, and then back into magic, realized I was quite good at it and I could use the skills I've developed through my life to make good in the world and heal people instantaneously, rather than sitting through these personal 2-hour sessions with people. And I could just speak to a group of people and have them forget about the worries of the world, maybe transform their beliefs or understandings in some metaphorical way using the work I was sharing. And that's kind of the pathway I followed in some way to get me right here, right now. So it's been a good journey.
What a journey. Very different to my journey from the East End of London as well, but that's another story for another day. And I'm fascinated as well, Adam. Nowadays, many people are trying to learn those entrepreneurial skills that it sounds like you learned very early on, and you had in a very East End of London, the street traders, everything. And from my experience of living there, that buying and selling on the cusp of legal is something that a lot of people do, don't they?
For sure. Yeah, it was a big part of it. And as a result, I've never been had much of a high regard for bureaucracy and the rules in general. I've always felt like that there are laws, okay, and the laws are the laws of the simulation, the laws of physics. That's like gravity will drop things down and the sun will rise, and like there are very fixed rules and laws, and everything else has just been made up. People just made it up, and then they say, I've got to do that. I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I've always, like Robert Downey Jr. has this wonderful quote. He says, when someone tells you what to do, just nod, smile, agree, and then do whatever the hell you wanted to do anyway. Right. So I kind of like take a page from that book. But slowly but surely, as I've matured, I'm far more benevolent in my direction and focus. I'm always trying to go for the bigger, better outcome at any means, to an extent, by any means. But I think you can break the rules as long as the breaking of the rules is in line with the spirit of the rules, to borrow this idea from Jordan Peterson, the author. So lots of rule breaking, bona fide rule breaker.
So given that you perhaps have a more flexible approach to life and a view of life, which is fabulous, what do you think then you would define as success? What does success mean to you?
I think in many ways, success is being true to yourself and carving your own way, right? And as much as I've been touching upon being me and doing my own thing throughout life, I think last year I really had the penny drop where I realized that all of this simple advice we've gotten, just be you, just be yourself. Like I finally started to do that unapologetically, and we go in fits and bounds of being able to be our true, authentic self, to throw out a buzzword of the times. Definitely managed to do that. And last year was this wonderful time for reinvention, a little bit of space. They say like you can go to gym to train, but the growth happens when you're sleeping. So I feel that there was this huge sleeping period for people in our professions last year when all of the events were wiped clean, and I used that time as an opportunity for growth, development, and reinvention. And I kind of saw everything. I remember drawing this big old like brain flowchart with all of these different things, my past and history, limitations, skill sets, and was able to realize that like this tragedy over here led to this triumph here. This trauma is now this success, this skill set. And I was able to see my world mapped out through space and time. And then also that gives you a scope of how the today's events can affect the future. What if I take some more conscious authorship over these happenings rather than just transforming them slowly but surely? What if I consciously choose to transform and turn, let's just say, a global pandemic into something that is, far more helpful down the long run. So it's been a good journey, and I just want to keep up this steam, keep up this momentum for as long as I can.
That's fabulous. And it's really also interesting how I think, keeping up that steam, keeping up that momentum. A lot of people I know in our types of profession, last year was a period of time for, in a way, cocooning and kind of looking at what we were doing. And I'm so glad that you did that similar exercise of looking at the common threads and the patterns that had been throughout your life and created who you are now, and obviously will be there. And you can then choose. It's all about having that choice point, isn't it? To be able to go and explore more of that or more of that or more of the different areas. And so what do you think then that you're more passionate about?
Oh, passion. Interesting. Passion. I love transformation. I love the ability to change. But I kind of looked at what I do the other day, and I just broke it down to the simplest form. And I realized what I do is I face the other way. And I was like, what does this mean? And whether or not I'm sort of speaking on Zoom to a big audience, I've got a lot of international shows happening with my Zoom show, Zoom Magic Show. And then whether I'm on stage delivering a performance or a keynote, or even just talking to the camera, it's like facing the other way to the world facing you. And that's the same for me as a market stall selling everything from like copied Stone Island knitwear to DVDs to, oh God, like Beats by Dre headphones when they first come out. We had it all, Tiffany jewelry, a lot. I think I'm past the limits of like I can't get busted anymore. It's been too long in the past, right? So I could just speak about this stuff. I was a teenager. I don't know what I'm doing, and all of that. I realized I was facing the other way, and that's symbolic for sure. And also, like I converted another passion, which also links heavily. I've converted that into a job, so I can keep doing this. So I do a self-defense, which we spoke about leading up to this. I spent the last 7 days doing my instructor level 2 course as a Krav Maga instructor. And for those who don't know, Krav Maga is a military style combat self-defense designed to defend yourself and others against attackers who may be bigger, stronger, armed, they may be outnumbering you, and we deal with real life situations for transforming the worst of times into something a little bit better than what you were thrown into. So yeah, a whole lot of transformation. I think maybe that's the passion, maybe, yeah, transforming something.
And that's really the key then with magic as well, like the true older alchemists or magicians were alchemists, you know, they'd take an iron or a stone and turn it into gold, and transformation, the caterpillar story, the caterpillar to the butterfly is also very much.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fascinated by metamorphosis. And yeah, it's interesting you mentioned The Alchemist. I mean, that was one of my favorite books. I've read that too many times. And it's more about the metaphor of the transformation. You know, it's not like actual lead into actual gold, although that's in our consumer driven world, that's the appeal, but it's on a deeper level, and it's realizing you can take a lead situation and transform it into something a little more shiny, and the main ingredient tends to be courage. You need to throw yourself in, as Terence McKenna says, hurl yourself into the abyss to discover that it is a feather bed. Yeah, lots of that happening. You just got to trust yourself. Jay-Z said, how did he get so fly? By not being afraid to fall out the sky, right? It was like having the courage to go up there, and that's how you can stay at that astronomical level. So still got tons to learn, but I think I'm approaching things with a good attitude at the moment, and I'm just seeing these doors open in front of me as a result. So yeah, more of this.
That's fabulous. And you know, there are a number of people that will be watching, and they'll be thinking, you know, how can you go from a street stall to doing NLP to then working and coming up with a show and a program for the large organizations, because they can be quite tough to get gigs with. So I'm interested in what would be 2 or 3, what sort of things would you say for our watchers were mindset success tips that you can share with them now?
Okay, I've got a few tips. Let's go. Okay, the first one, actually, this is a big one, and I've had moments of awakening to this concept a few times, and the most notable was last June, and it sent me on this journey. I was on one last year, and it's part of this reinvention and this transformation that we're all capable of undergoing, but I definitely sat in the conscious driver's seat, the pilot seat of this vessel. And that was to connect with the magic of being. I had this moment, and I was reminded, like I didn't discover it, I was reminded that my mere existence is a miracle, right? Like what is this? I'm like a bundle of atoms on this ball of rock orbiting through nothingness. It's mad. And like we forget it because we've got like phone bills to pay, and I've got to like check if my parking's run out and all this nonsense. You're like, what is this noise? And every day I kind of started waking up, and I'd look, and I am made of atoms forged in the furnace of dying stars. So get out of my way, I've got stuff to do. And I started like viewing life in this way. And if you can carry this attitude with you, like carry it with you, it's not nonsense. It's not some like new age mumbo jumbo. It's like literally the singularity of the Big Bang is what we base all of our physics on, right? The same rules and laws of physics that I was speaking about at the start here. It all begins with that, and we are part of that. So I realized that by connecting with the magic of being, the creative essence is not only in us, it is us. And we're one and the same with that. And I just kind of try to carry that with me for as long as it's helpful and useful, just that concept.
And that energy really comes through, Adam, that passion and that energy of really knowing and celebrating your beingness. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to show anything. Your just being is like you're saying, a miracle and a gift. True. I think everybody's being is a gift to the planet, and everybody is here for whatever the reason may be, but they're here to fulfill their greater potential.
Yeah.
And what would be another tip that you might share with people?
Okay, let's do it. I've got two quick ones then. We've got one, slay small dragons. I started doing this. And the thing with small dragons is they're kind of cute. Who cares really? What's the problem? But they grow up and become monsters. So I started doing things like I got this broken tooth fixed, went to the dentist, had a full checkup. I got my taxes handled for the last couple of years, all legit, everything's up to date. That's a small dragon you may as well slay now before it comes back in the form of an audit. So I started doing this and realizing that handle your little things now. And before I knew it, I was waking up and had days where I'd get up at 8 and not stop until 8 p.m. And I'd be like 12 hours nonstop, but I've done so much. Why have I got so much to do? And I realized that like 60-70% of what I did that day, it could have just waited till tomorrow or next week or next month or never every the 32nd, you know, and I always push these things back. And I just started getting stuff done, and that was a good one. So slay your small dragons before they grow up into monsters. They tend to come back when you're less equipped and able to deal with them. So handle them while they're babies. And then the last one I'll talk about is presence. Now, I started framing my training, my self-defense training as presence training. I realized that there's so many successful people out there who have some kind of martial arts or fight sport in their lifestyle, and it is a lifestyle. You have to deal with it. I've literally got 3D bruises at the moment from my week of training. I've got the rib out of place and all sorts. So you live with this. This is a choice you live with. But when you're training there, I have to be present. Because if I'm not present, I get hit in the head. Sometimes I get hit in the head anyway when I am present. So you really got to be switched on, right? And you're dealing with that, and you're working with a partner, and you're dealing with high pressure drills and simulating real situations. And you've got to be there. You've got to be in the room. And as a result, you're not anywhere else. And, you know, we are temporal beings. We're capable to conceptualize the future and the past, which often means we're not giving so much time to now. Yeah. So it's like a reminder to do that. So I started looking for presence training, and I found that there's like 8 neurochemicals if you're in flow state, ultimate presence, that are unleashed into your brain. And they have so many benefits outside of that precise moment. Afterwards, you have these ripple on effects. So I started pursuing presence, or at least framing some of the things I was doing as presence. And that's been really nice. Yeah, that's been really good.
That sounds fascinating. I mean, a lot of the meditation and the stuff that I've studied talks about living and being in the moment. And I've never heard people talk about it as presence training, but especially with martial arts like you're describing, if you're not present, you get hit. And even if you're present, you get hit. So being present to all of the different reactions of your body, of your mind, of all of those different commands, even the presence of mind to put yourself in a situation or an environment where you are going to get hit is something that would take rewiring of your brain.
Yeah, legit, honestly, legit. Because like when you're present, people feel like you're in flow state, using more of your brain. It's not true. What actually happens is like the prefrontal cortex is responsible for self-authoring, editing, like choosing what you say. that switches off when you're in flow state. In presence, that's gone. That's your chatter if you're meditating, you know, and that goes. And so you actually get a break. You get out your own way, and you have like this big part of yourself, the constantly checking and editing self, that just moves over, and then you trust yourself and you just let out all of the wonder and all of the knowledge and all of the training. It just kind of flows out of you. So more you can sort of lean into that. Really presence, I guess it links with trusting oneself to do the job at hand without overpowering your mental processor, let's say. Just close off those tabs and let things run smoothly, because this is what you trained for. You know, you're here to do a thing. You've put the work in. Just trust yourself. Yeah.
That's so fabulous. And we have got some guests on with us on Zoom, and I'll also just check quickly on Facebook and some of the other social media. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask Adam while we're live, now is the moment to do it. I've given it a little bit more time on the show today, just because this is such a fascinating discussion that we're having. So how do you see magic then fitting in with all of that? Because a lot of what you're talking about and the wordsmith, etc., it is about authenticity and is about retraining your mind and the mindset component. Yeah. But how do you see it then tie in? How does it tie in for you with the magic work that you do?
Well, mainly because we're so used to this instantaneous gratification, a tool of consumerism. You know, you want something, get it now. So it's harder to do that with transformation. It takes time. These things evolve slowly. So with the magic, I get to demonstrate something and give some kind of anecdotal evidence right here, right now, that the people could feel they were part of it. So that's what I do. I construct things that demonstrate ideas. The idea is paramount, and then the magic is the conduit. It's the delivery method. So I can demonstrate something right now. This is one of my favorite bits to open with. I normally do this at the start of a Zoom show, and I've got a big gig for HSBC tomorrow. So I'll be sharing something similar for those guys. And I'll demonstrate now. Let's have a little box. Let me put a playing card in. I'll fold this up and place it inside. Cool. All right, one playing card. I know what it is. We're going to use language to select a card, and my goal is to help with language steer yourself and two guests who are in the room. I'll draw upon those guys. They can keep their video off if they wish, but I'll use the audio in a moment. And you're going to choose one of these together. So like in a deck of cards, let's put this out there. In a deck of cards, you've got 52 cards, picture cards, number cards, you know, ace, 2, 3, 4. You've got your jacks, kings, queens, all of your hearts, spades, clubs, diamonds, all of those, 52. We all know them. So first of all, I think I would like to draw upon Wayne. So Wayne, if you're listening, I hope you can unmute yourself and just give us a hello.
So let's see if Wayne is there and able to say hello.
Not a stress at all. All good. You know what? We'll come back to it. You can help me out. So, Michelle, how about this? In a deck of cards, we've got picture cards, ace, 2, 3, 4. We've got, the jacks, kings, and queens, right? And we've got number cards, ace, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to burn through some to eliminate. Would you like to burn through the pictures or burn through the numbers?
Numbers.
The numbers, biggest section burned. Thank you. That's awesome. Leaving us the pictures, which are the jacks, the kings, and the queens. Good. No, time is of the essence. So we're left with the jacks, kings, queens. We could say those are males and females. Would you like to sacrifice the males or sacrifice the females?
Sacrifice the males.
Oh, all right. Well, we could have seen that one coming. Cool. Sacrifice the males. Gone. That leaves the females. So we burn the numbers. We sacrifice the males. We're left with the females, which are the queens. We get to save one of those queens, and it's going to be your choice, Michelle. You get to choose, is she going to be red or is she going to be black?
Red.
Which means she's got to be a heart or a diamond. What's it going to be?
The Queen of Hearts.
Are you kidding me? Really? I mean, look, maybe you could have chosen that, but the real key here was to get you to choose this with your language, and you did. This one card, and you could have chosen any decision. It could have been any of the 52 cards. So this is not a trick; it's a demonstration of the power of language. Queen of Hearts. Thanks for choosing her. Could have done it without her. All right, cool. And the crowd goes crazy. So moments.
My brain was going, he's tricking me. But I was thinking, how can I work out what he's done and what he said? But yeah, my brain was going, I already know the answer.
Well, actually, let's continue this again. I'm going to write something down. Let's try this out. Okay, cool. I'm happy with this. Now, the cool thing about this is if I asked you to think of a number between, say, 1 and 10, the chances are you think of 7 or 3. These are the ways. Gotcha. Okay, so I won't do that. But what I will ask for is a number between 1 and 26. No one's ever asked you that before. So when you've got shout it out loud. What do we got?
The number that I thought of.
1 and 26, anywhere between there. What do you got?
23.
Oh, I love that. Honestly, it's one of my favorites, and I'm really happy you did. And look, I'll be honest, I did not write 23. I didn't even write a number. I wrote a letter of the alphabet because there are 26 letters in our alphabet, right? We count through them real quick. So 23, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, 23, W. And I'm so happy you said 23 because W is what I wrote. So little moments like this. They work well. You know what? On the back of here, I'm going to write something else. Let's do this quickly. God, I love this. Okay, boom. All right, new prediction in hand, and we'll make this work too. So I've written something else here. It's not so much of a prediction, it's more of an instruction. But before we do, I'll be talking about time and how we are temporal beings. You know, there are 2 types of time the Greeks analyzed. We have chronos and kairos. Chronos is time, chronological, minutes, seconds, hours, precise time. And then there is kairos. Kairos is a moment, a season, an eternity. It's time without numbers. It's presence. Yeah. So I want you to imagine that you walk over and you see a watch on the floor and you go to pick it up and it's broken. It's a stopped watch, and a stopped clock is right twice a day. We know this, but whatever time it says is the last time it will ever tell. You pick up that watch and you look at it and you see the time, hours and minutes. What time is that for you?
Again, I feel like my brain was already there before you finished the question, but it was at 12:10.
Amazing. So listen, you've come up with that thing on your own. And what I love about this is you really have had that freedom. Now, I wrote something down. I'm really happy that this worked out because what I actually wrote was to check my watch because my watch fell off of my wrist recently. It stopped on a certain time of having a few problems with it. Sorry, you were thinking of a time, Michelle. What time was that?
12:10.
You nailed it. You are the gifted one in this room. Ridiculous. Anyway.
And for those watching, it's actually about 2 minutes to 1 p.m. So it's not 12:10, and none of this was pre-agreed. So amazing, Adam, and bringing it back with a couple of minutes left. I can see again the power of the words and the power of suggestion. And when I look back, I'll be looking for how you led me down the path to the answers that I gave. But
sure.
The important part of that for people to understand is that you then have the power to change your world, your reality, and your future through that power of the words.
100% we do. I mean, like the word abracadabra, the magic word we all know and cherish, it actually translates to, as I speak, I create. The words we utter manifest the reality in which we dwell. So
beautiful.
Yeah, I believe in that.
So very quickly then, the question that Wayne, he hasn't written down here today, but he asked me every week is, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh, one day it'll all make sense. Yeah, one day it'll all make sense. Yeah. And just I was on the right path, just keep going. A few times I doubted myself, maybe I deviated a little bit, but it's all good. It's all good. I think I had the right things in mind. One day it'll all make sense. Keep that faith. Yeah,
I think that's really important, and thank you so much. And so after today, how can people contact you and how can they get hold of you, Adam?
Wow, Google me, baby. No, good. What do I say? I'm easy to find. If you search Magician Sydney, I should be popping right up there near the top somewhere. But otherwise, Adam Axford. I'm easy to find on Instagram. I'm most active. Facebook, just sharing my Instagram posts basically. And yeah, my website is full of illustrious secrets and wonderful things. I've got some like digital tricks I play on there when I'm with an audience, and then a whole lot of videos that you kind of can't find on other platforms. So check it out, adamaxford.com.au. Just like this one. So yeah, it'll be good. Tune in, send me a message, say hello. I'm happy to chat. Yeah, thanks for this chat, Michele. It's been awesome.
Well, thank you, Adam. And it's also been fabulous because, again, the power of words and the power of the self-talk, some of the stuff that we talk about in the show each week around mindset, I just really thank you for demonstrating and showing the power of that and the power of what you can do when you're really paying attention and being in that moment, that, like you were saying, the presence. So we're nearly out of time today, but thank you so much, Adam. It's been such a pleasure and so wonderful to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good work for you putting all these ideas out there and encouraging people to share what drives them. So yeah, fantastic. I look forward to tuning into some more episodes, but thanks for having me on board.
Thank you. And we're at time now, but thank you once again for coming to the Mindset Michele TV show. It's been my real pleasure and Adam's real pleasure to have you on the show today. And as I say every week, from my heart to your heart, be great, be fabulous, and be you.